what happens when a network tries to turn Hong Kong action into a Saturday night cop show. Out of that came a series that combined martial arts, comedy, and a fish-out-of-water story. So how did a surprise hit get messed about, reworked, and lose the thing that made it a success in the first place? Let's find out. This is the history of martial law. It was the late 90s. Renegade was running at a road on syndication, while Walker Texas Ranger was still going strong. At the same time, CBS wanted something for Saturday nights that might pull in a younger crowd, because the lineup was starting to look a bit stale. While working on Nash Bridges, Carlton Cuse got wind of that and went back to an idea Stanley Tong had already pitched him, a cop show built off the energy of Police Story 3. Cuse gave it the American TV angle, while Tong brought in the Hong Kong action side coming off Police Story 3, Rumble in the Bronx, and First Strike. Out of that came a story about a top cop from China dropped into Los Angeles, hunting a crime boss, working cases with the LAPD, and doing things his own way in a place that didn't know what to make of him. So they pitched that to CBS, knowing that was exactly the sort of thing they were after. The network went for it and ordered a full season straight away. But then came the next headache. Could they get the lead they actually wanted? At first, they tried getting Jackie Chan, but he just refused, and that left the suits in a right pickle. So they went for the next best thing, Sammo Hung, which solved their problem but threw another one right back in their face. But we'll get back to that a bit later. With Sammo in place, the attention turned to the two detectives working with him. Tammy Lauren got Dana Dixon, and for a bit it looked like Dale Midkiff might end up as her partner, but that didn't happen, so Louis Mandylor came in instead as Louis Malone. Once that was set, the rest of the cast started coming together. Kelly Hu came in as Grace Pei Pei Chen, the undercover cop Sammo was searching for, while Tom Wright took the role of Benjamin Winship, the poor sod stuck trying to keep Sammo's methods under control. But that version of the lineup wasn't going to stay in place for very long. Around them, the guest list started building as well, with Shannon Lee, Mako, Mark Dacascos, and many more making appearances. Apparently, Jackie Chan even filmed a cameo for episode 5, but some muppet decided to cut it out of the final version. Before martial law could hit people's screens, it still needed a theme. So the producers brought in the legendary Mike Post to compose that, and Ben Decter to handle the episode scoring. But then season 2 came along. According to producer Leegoldberg, Sammo hated the original theme, so it got binned, and they brought in Joel Goldsmith to replace it, with Corey Lerios scoring some of the season 2 episodes.
Let's get it on.
When the series finally aired, the early reaction was quite mixed. Some critics liked Sammo Hung straight away, but most of them were not sold on the show around him. The LA Times called it cartoonish, and Variety was not exactly chucking flowers at it either. Even so, both still understood the same thing. Sammo had presence, and the action gave the show a proper kick. Audience-wise, it did well enough from the start. The show was winning its time slot most weeks and ended up winning the 9 PM Saturday night slot for that year. So while critics were having their usual moan, viewers were clearly turning up for it. According to the producers, after 6 episodes had aired, they knew the thing was gonna be a big hit. And at that time, Sammo was the only East Asian actor headlining a primetime network series in the United States. With the show up and running, the real grief started kicking in. Sammo was used to Hong Kong movie sets, but American TV was a whole different animal. In Hong Kong, he had control. In the US, he got network interference, late nights, and behind-the-scenes shakeups. Then, there was the language side of it. His English was very limited, so they brought in an English teacher on the set for a few months. But eventually, there was no time to use him, so the scripts and the staging had to shift around Sammo instead. That pushed the show harder toward action because Samo was never going to stand there waffling through half a scene. So while the network wanted a fast-moving American TV schedule, the action side was still being built with a Hong Kong mindset. Those two ways of working were not actually best mates, and that strain sat there the whole time. Then came the big changes. Tammy Lauren got shoved out early and the split was not friendly. According to cues, her character never clicked, and once Kelly Hu was moving up from guest star to regular, that only added more noise around the whole situation. And not long after that, Arsenio Hall turned up to pair with Sammo Hung. It seemed they were trying to push the show closer to a buddy cop formula, especially with Rush Hour coming out in September that year. But it didn't actually play out that way on screen. And while that was happening, the production was already looking like a bit of a mess. By the second season, runaway costs had already become a problem, and Carlton Cuse left the show, with Leegoldberg and William Rabkin coming in. And they did not exactly ease into it either. They more or less acted like the first season never happened. They kept the basic setup but started changing things around it. The cliffhanger from season 1 got brushed aside, and they wanted more emphasis on Sammo as a stranger in America, and combining that with Kelly Hu and Arsenio Hall. The victims of that though were Louis Mandylor and Tom Wright, as they were both dropped at the end of season 1. Gretchen Egolf was brought in as the new boss, Amy Dillon, and the whole thing got reworked on the fly. Sammo, on the other hand, was not happy with where the writing was heading. By the end of season 2, the costs were spiraling. According to Black Belt magazine, each episode was costing around $2 million, and that was making the suits a bit uneasy. At the same time, Sammo had enough of where the writing was going. When CBS offered him a third season, he wasn't about to just go along with it. He said he would only do it if he got final say on the scripts. From his point of view, the second season's writing had turned him into nothing but a fighting machine. So that was the killer mix: a show that cost a lot of money, a lead that wasn't happy with the writing, and a network looking at the bill and not fancying another round of it. And that was the end of it. Martial law was cancelled. But it didn't vanish. The show kept turning up in reruns and overseas broadcasts, and people still had a soft spot for it. It also crossed over with 2 other shows while it was still on the air. Sammo popped up in Early Edition, and then the late great Chuck Norris turned up on Martial Law, and after that, Sammo went over to Walker, Texas Ranger to finish the story. Then came the home media side of it, and that took its time. Before anyone got a complete set, bits of the show had already come out on VCD in Hong Kong, but fans around the world kept on pushing for a proper DVD release. And in the end, that finally happened when Visual Entertainment picked up the rights in 2015. In 2016, they released Martial Law: The Complete Collection, which also included the crossover episodes from Early Edition and Walker, Texas Ranger. Now, for fans who want to add the series to their collection, I've added a link in the description below, and there should also be a card popping up on screen to help you check it out. As for my own thoughts on it, I thought Martial Law was really good. At its core, it was still a normal cop show. Cases, partners, villains, the usual thing. But Sammo made it feel proper different. He brought that Jackie Chan kind of energy. The action and choreography had that same sort of feel. And that first season, in my opinion, got the balance right. It wasn't like he was just a bloke coming in, smashing people through furniture, and that was it. They gave him kind of room to carry the show while still letting the rest of it move around properly. A lot of time, he carried scenes through sheer presence, timing, and movement more than dialogue. Another reason why I think the first season worked so well was the chemistry between Louis Mandylor and Sammo Hung, and the comic bits with David Leitch and Mike Starr. Now, don't take me wrong, Arsenio Hall, he was alright. He brought his own kind of energy and did the job, but I still prefer the initial cast. Now, once they started changing people around and fiddling with the tone, the show lost a bit of what made it work in the first place. but that's where they shot themselves right in the foot.
No tongue.
Next time, we take a look at another great series. Until then, if you haven't done already, why don't you check out our previous episode on Charles in Charge. Thanks for watching, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.